Okay. Very good morning, everyone. Welcome to Africa Cert Cybersecurity Day. We are starting with some few minutes late, but we'll try to catch up the program. So my name is Jean-Robert, and I will be your moderator this morning. So I would like to invite this morning's speakers. So Koichiro Komiyama, Sparky. Okay, I would like to invite Serge Valéry from ITU. Olivier Calef from CERT-FR. Is Olivier around? Okay, he will join us. Don Stigvart. And Dr. Nick Wenner. So to give you a little bit of a view of this morning, Dr. Ni will give the welcome address. Then Don will give the keynote speech. As you know, this Africa Cert session, Africa Cert 7 team is around leadership and responsibility. So you will hear from John. Welcome, Olivier. Then Sparky Koichiro will give us the episode update, the update from Asia Pacific region. Serge Valéry will give us the update about ITU's activities related to cybersecurity in the African continent. I will give a first update, and Olivier will give his presentation around the team information sharing for cyber defense actors. So the way we will proceed this morning, we will try to go through all the presentation and then the question in order to be able to save time. So I will welcome Dr. Ni to welcome you all. Dr. Ni pioneered internet development and expansion through Africa for nearly 2 decades, establishing some of Africa's first internet connection and helping set up key organizations, AFRINIC, Africa Cert, AFNOG. He also was a founder of AFRINIC, the African Internet Number Registry. He earned a PhD in computer science in 1977 from the State University of New York and Stony Brook, and helped establish the computer science department at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana, where he taught since 1979. He was the first African to be elected to the board of ICANN and served as at-large director for ICANN for the African region for 2000 to 2003. Professor Kwano was a member of the United Nations Secretary General Advisory Group on ICT, chair of the OIU Internet Task Force, and president of the Internet Society of Ghana in 2007. The Internet Society awarded him the Jonathan Postel Service Award for his pioneering work in advancing the Internet in Africa, and the Internet Hall of Fame pioneer in 2013. He is a former member of the IGF Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group. So, Dr. Ni, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jean-Robert. I am just pleased to see many of you from across the continent and globally here, eager to be involved in the development of CERTs in Africa. I welcome you all to this unique, collaborative, and capacity-building event in Mauritius. I also welcome Africa CERT's partners, the partner organizations, and individuals, including JP-CERT, FIRST, APWG, Symantec, ISOC, ITU, KR-CERT, CERT-FR, ANSI, Francophonie, Team Simru, Avalon Coaching, AP-CERT, and several others, including the AF Stars, to the Africa CERT Day, and I thank you for your immense support in this initiative. So, if any of you need assistance from these partners, don't hesitate to channel your requests and efforts through Africa CERT. As you may be aware, Africa CERT origins are in the AFRINIC community, who have a long history of capacity building and community building, which started as far back as 2000. And pleased to see the spirit is carried up today when Africa CERT's identity and role are becoming clear to all of us. Although you, the participants, may have more detailed knowledge on the subject than I wish to take the opportunity to make a few comments. I note that the antisocial and anti-economic incidences on the Internet are impacting the development of Internet in Africa, especially as the access challenge is being resolved. The spam alone I receive on a daily basis is becoming worrisome for someone whose email address is easily discovered. There are, however, even more serious problems facing us. Recently in Ghana, the military police accidentally arrested someone for a recruitment scam. The person turned out to be a botnet operator that was part of a global network with control from overseas. I learned further that when the operator needed to hack a local target, the operator sent requests to overseas contacts who effected the phishing attacks. They simply had a box which they put in any network and they move around. As the connectivity barrier is being reduced, criminal rings are migrating their operations into Africa, where they are sure the capacity to isolate and deal with them is weaker. This is the extent of the threats we face. These types of issues are becoming so prevalent globally that now several groups have become involved, including government ministries such as Foreign Affairs, Interior, Defense, Communications, technical communities, civil society, and the list goes on. Yet, the most important part of the puzzle, which is handling incident response, is not well developed in Africa yet. That makes the role of CERTs and Africa CERT even more important and perhaps critical. Some have argued that CERTs and cybersecurity in general are the domain of global governmental coordination, while others have argued that that's a national issue. We saw this play out at the recently concluded ITU Plenipot. Besides that, we have also heard arguments for building government-sponsored CERTs, while others advocate neutral non-governmental CERTs in our region. Having pointed these differences in approach out, I observe that Africa CERT presents the unique place where high-level expertise and global partners get to impart to African CERTs who are at various stages of development. Africa CERT also presents a forum where global initiatives may be channeled for the benefit of the continent, as well as a forum of cooperation and sharing among CERTs. Aside from these being multi-stakeholder in composition, given Africa CERT's history, it is open to a wider range of professionals in governments and organizations, as well as individuals. This will enable Africa to harness all efforts to have a safer network through incident response cooperation. I therefore welcome you to the Africa CERT Day and wish you a very good exchange. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nee. Don Stewart will give us the keynote address. So Don is director and co-founder of S-Secure and Avalon Coaching, NLP. S-Secure offers senior consultancy in the area of information and internet security, specializing in security incident management, CERT, government, policy matters, and translating theory and policy to real life. Avalon offers life and executive coaching and certification training in NLP, timeline therapy, and coaching. The company are based in the Netherlands, yet Don's client base is global. Don has worked in the security area for over 25 years. After his academic year, which led him to a Master of Science honors degree in physics, he became infantry platoon commander in the Dutch Army in 1998. He joined the Dutch National Research Network in that capacity. He was among the pioneers who created the European Internet, RIP, the European Cooperation of CERT, TF-CERT, and the NL Domain Registry from 1999 onward. In 1998, he started his first company. A major first assignment was to build the network connecting over 10,000 schools in the Netherlands. Many CERT were created with his help and guidance, among which the Dutch government CERT, now called NSCS-NL, and teams from university, major hospital, and multinationals like Philips. Second opinion audit and maturity assessment in this field has become a specialty. And in that capacity, Don developed SIM3, a maturity model for CERTs, which is used to certify such teams in Europe today. Don was deeply involved in the ITF and RIP in the past, and since 1992, he is one of the forefront of the global incident response community and is such a member of FIRST and TF-CERT. Together with Dr. Klaus-Peter Kozakowski, he initiated and fostered the closer cooperation of European CERT, even since 1993. In 1998, he finished the Handbook of Computer Security Incident Response Team, together with Kozakowski and Moira of CERT-CC. Don was chairman of the program committee of the 1999 First Conference in Brisbane, Australia, and kickstarted the International First Secretariat in the same year. Don authored and taught several training modules for the CERT community, some of which are being used worldwide today. And for 3 days, Don teach a training courses here for teams and members who were present at the Africa CERT Education Series. At this moment, Don is actively involved in building and improving the CERT community in Europe and beyond via TF-CERT, and a trusted introducer and cooperating with FIRST, EPI-CERT, and Africa CERT. He has been and is the consortium leader of several European ENISA information security projects, board management, consultancy in information security, and cybercrime issue. Starting in 2001, Don was certified as trainer in NLP, timeline therapy. I hope that you won't hypnotize us. Hypnotherapy.
Only if you ask.
And coaching, and started Avalon as a result. Avalon portfolio in life and executive coaching and workshop, and intensive training courses in LLP and related area, leading to international recognized certification as NLP Master Practitioner. Don work with Avalon directly benefit his security work, both in management consultancy and in newly developed work, the reverse social engineering, the white hat gain, as well as presentation and communicate skill other. So, Don, welcome among us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. How do I zap? Thank you. Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Jean-Robert. Had I known that you would read my whole bio, I would have sent you a shorter one. My apologies for that. But my life has been pretty full. Second of all, I would like to thank you and your colleagues for inviting me here, which is an honor. Actually, as Jean-Robert knows, I had been to all continents except Antarctica and Africa until the year of 2014, and now I'm sort of making up because I'm going a few times to Africa this time, and I can only honestly say that I'm falling in love with Africa, so I hope to come back. So it's wonderful to be here, and I'm going to share some things with you. And actually, I hope that we can think a little bit out of the box together. I hope to inspire you to do some extra thinking. And I'm not asking you to agree. That's completely up to you. It's a matter of respect. I'm asking you to think. And if I reach that you think about certain things, whether you agree with me or not, then that's absolutely great. And my goal will have been reached. So let's get started. See if this works. Oh yes, indeed. I have this strange mix. Jean-Robert already told you about doing security things on the one side and coaching and NLP and communication things on the other side. I once thought that these things were going to be separate, and I found out that they actually merge in many ways, which is great fun. Imagine another crisis. I mean, we've had some crises over the years. And it's very well possible that there will be another crisis, an even bigger crisis. As you will see when we go through the slides, there are actually various reasons to think about the feasibility of that. So what if the economy plunges down and the stock markets plunge down? And what about if conflicts are rising, and they are actually rising right now again? What about the role of cybercrime? Because I'm going to make a link between, let's say, the normal world and the cyber world in all of this presentation. Sorry for the inconvenience. We're trying to change the world. Isn't that nice? And the little picture you see at the right-hand below corner, you see the big guy, you know, the warrior, and you also see the little guy in the back who remotely controls the warrior. That's cybercrime, right? Strange thing. Now, as an introductory slide, I'm going to say you something which actually comes from NLP, which is perception is projection. Something if you have never heard that, is something you need to think about. It means that we have no way of really knowing how the world is. The only way that we know how the world is by our observations, using our senses, and then using what's in our mind to evaluate it. Because the only thing we get inside is what we see, hear, feel, etc. And the only way we can evaluate it is with the things we learned during our lives, from our parents, in school, in university, during our work, etc. So perceptionist projection means that it's actually impossible to know the world in an objective way. We're always seeing the world in a completely subjective way. It's very important to keep that in mind. So yeah, this applies to me as well. And my ancestors, as you can see, were, and I already discussed this with some people here in the past few days, when Olivier and I and our colleagues from Africa CERT were teaching transits, which was a great pleasure to do. I already told some people that I have got a rather strange set of ancestors who come from all over Europe. Born and raised in the Netherlands, so I've got a lot of European history in my veins, and I really love Europe, and I'm starting to love Africa, as I told you. So yes, I do wear colored glasses, as it said there. Yes, perception is projection also for me. So I'm giving you my ideas. Well, maybe my ideas are a little bit broad, and this is really helped by the fact that I've got good friends all over the world, on all continents now, which is absolutely great. And I have a son who lives in the United States and friends all over the place. I just don't have many acquaintances with the penguins on Antarctica yet, but maybe you never know. Humans are in essence the same everywhere, is something I find very strongly. Just back from Australia, for instance, and I had quite a lot of talks there with, of course, the people I was working there with in regards to security and also coaching. But I also had quite a few talks with native Australians or Aboriginals, or whatever word you use. Indigenous Australians, as they say themselves. And I noticed the same things. People are the same everywhere. Now, another introductory slide is that when you think about the world, you need to realize that there are actually 3 levels of power. The first level is the level you know best. That's your direct surroundings, right? People around you, your friends, your family, colleagues. And the thinking there is mostly operational, meaning where am I today, where am I going tomorrow, what am I going to do? It's operational thinking. And what you do has direct consequences. The second level is the level of the big companies, the national governments. This is what most people think is the top level. I actually don't agree, as you see. Actions here are, of course, much more complex in nature, and the thinking is mostly tactical. Though, like I said, a lot of people perceive this as being strategical. I think the real strategical level is mostly behind the scene, and there you need to ask the question, who is actually owning the debts in the world, and where do the profits go? It's interesting to do research in that, and you will find some fascinating conclusions when you do more research into who owns the debts and where do the profits go. Now here I think is the real long-term thinking, and this influences politics to a major extent. And this is where strategic thinking is. And if you really want to understand what's happening in the world today, you need to involve this third level into your thinking, or you will leave out a very important part of the puzzle. Okay, let's go to cybercrime and the internet for a moment. Let's relax after all this heavy stuff. I'm going to show you a few slides. In the top part of the slides is the history of well, mostly the internet and security in the internet, and the bottom part in gray is the bad guys or girls. So around 1970, the internet was born. And hey, we didn't have any incident yet. The counter was at 0. Then, around 1980, well, the only people who were using the internet were really scientists. But the internet was growing at a rate of approximately doubling every year. But remember, it was really, really small in those days. Still, we already had the first convicted hacker, which was Ian Murphy, Captain Zap, who actually broke into AT&T systems to allow people to do cheap telephone traffic. Ain't that fun? And, oh yeah, and we had the first worm, which actually was an apple worm, and it was called Elk Cloner. 1988 was an important year for security, because this was the year of the internet worm. You need to realized that the internet was still very small, very, very small. But the Morse worm was really sort of a proof of concept, but it worked so well that, like, I don't know, 1/4 or 1/3 of the then internet went down, and several other systems were taken down out of precaution. This was also the days of Kevin Mitnick, whose name many of you will know, pretty famous hacker. But we were still in the infancy of the internet, and there was still no real critical use of the internet. Still, the Morse worm sort of showed that we had something to worry about. And this was when the first CERT teams started. And the first CERT teams were actually the, what's now called CERT Coordination Center, which is part of the Software Engineering Institute of Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, in the United States. And actually the other one who says they were the first is the SEAC team, which is the CERT for the Department of Energy. I think based in Lawrence Livermore in California. It was also when a few of those teams and individuals came together and started first the form of incident response and security teams, which you will have heard of. And we have Sparky here to represent first, is that correct? We also had a gang war in cyberspace. I wrote down the name for you so you can have some fun. It was the Legion of Doom versus the Masters of Deception. Now you need to know this was all modem-based, phone traffic-based, computers attached to modems. I see Foyle laughing there because he's old enough, like I, to be aware of this kind of stuff. So that was all telephone-based, but it was hacking which was going on. 1992 was a year, again, with a lot of things happening, and there was a lot of things happening in Europe, where I came from, or come from. And like Jean-Robert said, I was one of the two lucky guys, together with Peter Kosakowski, a good friend, to really start the cooperation of European CERTs, which was by accident, because we met one another at the first conference in 1992, and then we said, hey, wouldn't it be fun to cooperate in Europe? So Jean-Robert, when did Africa CERT start? Probably in a similar way? Well, you told me yesterday, but I forgot the date. 2005. Probably also by some people sitting together and saying, shouldn't we do something? Exactly. So we started doing that, and DK CERT was actually the first CERT in Europe from Denmark, and the Event CERT Germany, Surf CERT in the Netherlands, and GovCERT UK. Also DEFCON started, and I've put DEFCON sort of halfway between the top part and the bottom part, because they're sort of, you know, somewhere in between white hat and black hat. But if you look at the little hacker down below, it was mostly the kids in those days, students who were, you know, trying to get access to the internet. However, this changed in 1995. Two important things. The World Wide Web was invented. Before that we had Gopher, which was text-based, and other things. And then some guys at CERN, Tim Berners-Lee is the most well-known, but there are a few others, invented, well, let's say the HTTP, and the World Wide Web started. And that was the beginning of big changes. And also money came in. The dot-com boom started. So the internet started actually being used by real people instead of us researchers, which it was before then. And that was the big game changer. And who do we have there? The guy on the bottom is Vladimir Levin, who robbed Citibank using cyber tools, of course. That's what we were talking about. And managed to get $10 million from Citibank, most of which was retrieved, by the way, but he did manage to do it. And we have Melissa. Many of you will probably remember Melissa, because that was a really, really big thing in those days. A worm. Around 2000, we saw, for instance, the emergence of Team Camry, and to my delight, yeah, that's the strange way you pronounce it, Team Camry, because Camry means Wales. And the Welsh say Camry, they don't say Simru or so. So Team Camry. And I saw to my delight that Team Camry is one of the sponsors of the conference, or their logo was on your first slide. They're a really good lot and do a lot of good work on the internet. Transit started, and we've been giving the Transit course in the past few days. TFC CERT is the European Africa CERT. And actually it's quite funny, as I mentioned to Jean-Robert last night, TFC CERT has 3 meetings per year, and their next meeting will be end of January. And guess where it will be? In Africa. It will be on one of the Canary Isles, which are the isles, they are Spanish isles, but they're before the coast of Morocco, so they're most definitely part of Africa. So actually I hope to see a few of you there. That would be really great. We can invite you. I already invited Jean-Robert. Hacking. Well, let's look at the MLX share value, because that's a nice one. Somebody wrote a fake report on the internet. The result was that the MLX shares went down by 50%. And the guy who wrote the report was doing clever deals with stocks and made, how much was it? $250,000 in one day. And I couldn't find whether he was actually convicted. He was prosecuted. Well, I'm not even sure whether he was convicted. $250,000 in one day just by sending a fake report to the net. Interesting. Okay, I've put 9/11 here. Actually, basically, because when I was looking into that, I was curious whether 9/11, which was a very big event, made a change in the growth of the internet. And actually, it did. 9/11, where is it? Yeah. You need to look right above in the picture, where 2001 is. There's a very little change in the trend, but it's not very big actually. I mean, the internet traffic has been sort of doubling or more than doubling every year since the beginning. So this is a logarithmic scale, right? It's a huge increase over the years, a very huge increase. What has been happening in the last 10 years or so? Well, this includes Africa CERT, but I wasn't sure, so I will add Africa CERT's logo here as well. Wasn't sure about the date, you just told me again. AP CERT, Asia Pacific Cooperation, Shadow Server as well. And of course, on the black side, we have got lots of phishing. We've got botnets, which is a major problem. I could add DDoS attacks here, and you name it. Identity theft. Then something new came to the equation, 2007 and 2008. Cyber attacks as part of political conflicts. This happened in Georgia and Estonia. And since then, and this has also been reported by several people investigating this also on government levels, the assumption is that you can expect that any future political conflict will have a cyber component. Often it is hidden and people say, oh, it's just a bunch of hackers doing it, but how do you know? I mean, it could well be directed as well. You can just expect this to be part of the conflicts and you need to guard against that. Oh yeah, and the picture, I mean, it used to be the tough guys who got civilizations to its knees, right? The Goths and the Vandals and the Huns and you name it. And now it's the tick, 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 tick. Geeks. But the geeks are hired by crime and terrorism and whatever, and that's the thing to really worry about. Since 2008, we have had a major crisis in money, the credit crunch. In London, the university called for a conference, a crisis of trust, the leadership challenge, and there were reasons to do that, and I think there still are actually. The bottom graph is the exchange rate between the euro and the Swiss franc. Now, you probably all know that Switzerland is sort of a haven of stability. Why? Because a lot of rich people send their money there. So everybody, there's a lot of money in the country and everybody likes Switzerland to be stable because that way the money is saved there. So the Swiss franc is pretty stable. The euro plunged down, and the euro plunged down really dramatically compared to the Swiss franc. And the only thing that saved the exchange rate was because Switzerland is immersed in Europe. So nobody will go on holiday to Switzerland anymore if it gets too expensive. So the Swiss bank actually artificially made sure that the course would stay stable, which has happened since then. But it was a completely artificial measure. It wasn't healthy economics. Stuxnet, isn't that fun? Which by accident hit mostly Iran. Okay, we all know it wasn't by accident. So you need to bear in mind that this can happen if someone a criminal organization or a government decides that you're a target, then you're a target. Last few years, we have seen a rise of especially government teams, national teams, and the law, Interpol, all sorts of law enforcement organizations, which is really, really important because obviously we need those people also inside the CERT community. They need to be part of our effort. We've also seen a rise, I added metrics there somewhere, in more mature thinking about the internet and about security, trying to measure what happens, doing certifications, etc. And on the downside, we have had a lot of problems. Identity theft is growing and will be a major problem, I expect. We had a trusted certificate provider, DigiNotar, which happens to be in the country where I live, or happened to be. It completely crashed. And this caused big problems, because these certificates are used to prove that important sites, like sites of the Dutch government, but a lot of others, are to be trusted. So the whole trust system was breaking down. Many of you will probably remember the DigiNotar event, which was big. And their security, by the way, completely sucked. I read the reports about how they secured their internal system, and it was quite horrible. So if the amount of security can be so low in organizations which do such important things, which is still valid today in many organizations, you need to worry. The guy with the boxing ball was, where was it? Estonia, yeah, or Latvia. Well, anyways, I think Estonia. Vladimir Tsatsin, who was my slide is gone. My slide has gone, but I'll keep on talking. Thank you. Who was the owner of a botnet of, I don't know, some millions of PCs. And he was actually caught by an interesting international cooperation involving many countries. United States, European countries, the big Japanese antivirus firm, help me, what's their name? Helped as well. Trend Micro, right? And there were several other parties. So where are we going to? And by the way, Jean-Robert, how much time do I have left? How much time do I have left? 10? Perfect. The future. First of all, never mind about CERT, CCERT, etc. It's all the same. Make sure that whenever you talk about CERT work, that you think management, not response. I've been telling this already to all of you who were in transit, so you already know, or maybe you knew already. Prevention. Prevention is extremely important, not just extinguishing the fire. We need to think in terms of prevention, lessons learned, so that it's a cycle. We need to learn from incident and implement the lessons learned back into prevention. It is completely the wrong way to say, I'm really busy and I have no time to learn from what happens because the next incident is already waiting. This is completely wrong. You must make time and need to convince your management that you need to make time to investigate past incidents, to learn from them, to use the feedback, put it into prevention and make sure you can do a better job next time. Cyber resilience is the new fashion word in a lot of places. It's just talking about the same here. It's just a new nice word. National teams are part of the picture, very important. The ISACs, cooperations in all sorts of branches, are really important. They all fit into the picture, law enforcement. And just for the convenience, I use CERT to cover the whole lot. Right? What's going to happen? We're talking about future, right? What's going to happen with cybercrime? More volume, more money, more advanced, more deeply rooted in all of society, including politics. I mean, what's the difference between cybercrime and cyber defense? That probably depends on what country you're in, if it's about politics. So this is interesting. This also means, by the way, and this is a big challenge for CERTs, because we have had a really good cooperation of CERTs all over the world. But if you think in terms of political conflicts, there's a lot of pressure on this kind of cooperation, because some people are on one side of the fence and others are on the other side of the fence, which is complicated. And it's a challenge for our whole community. We do need to hire very clever people. We need to train them well. There's a lot of work there to be done, because right now we have training things like transits, and First is working on trainings, and I assume Africa Cert is working on training, AP Cert is working on training, which is great. But we also need to get this area into universities and schools of higher education. Because what I see right now, at least in Europe, is that most people who come from university and have done something like information security don't have a clue about the stuff we are doing. They're usually way too theoretical. We need more practical knowledge also to go into the universities. And we need to embed what we do in society. You are a part of society. You're not some separate secret organization who's doing secret stuff. No, you're part of society because all of what we're doing is serving society. And that's really important. And the other important thing to enhance is detection. So measuring and collecting. And actually one of Sparky's colleagues, Yuri Ito, is very active in Cyber Green, right? Yeah. And Cyber Green is an initiative which is all about measuring data, collecting data to know more about the state of security. And it's a really interesting initiative, Cyber Green. What about IT security? Where are we going with IT security? Okay, can we please get some more security engineering? I know that nobody wants to pay for it, but maybe we need to change that. How long have we had the password issue? We still have it in 2014, right? That's incredible. I mean, when I started in computers, passwords were a security risk, and now, 2014, it's still the case. Can we please have more legal demands on product security? I mean, I know that politicians got scared of regulation because regulation years ago, decades ago, didn't work very well and caused all sorts of problems. So since then, a lot of politicians have been really scared about regulations. But if I step into my car, I have to put my seatbelts on. And I happen to ride a motorbike and I have to put my helmet on, which I think is a damn good idea because it helps me survive. Wouldn't it be nice if governments started thinking together with people like us or people at the vendors as well about product security? And then we have the debate between individual protection on the one side versus logging and sniffing on the other side, which is a very difficult debate. So where we are is we are part of all this. And our role is to improve our maturity, become a talking partner to the people in charge. This is really important at the national level, at the political level. I know that some people here already do that, which is great. Keep on doing that and do it more, because this is really important. We are part of society. Economy. This is fun. So, as you probably know, our world economic system for a long time was completely based on oil and dollars. It still is to the biggest extent. Now, if you look at that critically, and this is again my opinion, you will probably see that this is sort of an ever-increasing debt game. And you can wonder who are the winners. Now, the BRICS countries, right? So that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other countries around that are actually challenging this system, which is pretty exciting, I must say. The Middle East, lots of tensions as always. Peak oil is a load of rubbish, but oil is probably expendable. We are looking towards an age, probably the next 10 years, where energy will become much cheaper. Not only oil, but also other forms of energy. Now, these are all challenges to the worldwide stability. The challenge to the dollar system, cheap energy, 3D and 4D printing has amazing potential, if you think about it. This is a pretty explosive mix. And this is great perspective, but also something you need to bear in mind, which can be really explosive. So, I mean, as CERTs, we cannot directly influence all that, but we can play our role and be aware of our role in all of this. Because we are front runners, we've always been, and I like us to keep that up. And talk with all the people who matter in regards to lawmaking, talk with your friends and colleagues to improve the way that people look at these things. So let's go on to politics, and I'll speed up a little bit. Politics is exciting because those who have a vote don't seem to be interested because they often experience a lack of real choice, and those who don't have a vote really want to have a vote. I always tell my kids who are really spoiled because they were raised in the Netherlands, and I said, be very happy that you can go to school. I mean, all parents say this, of course, right? So I'm probably the boring dad when I say that. But it's true. Be very happy that you can go to school, that you can get education, and be very happy if you can have a vote. I see an increasing sense of insecurity in a lot of countries where, and if that continues, it's very dangerous because all states are based on an unwritten contract between people, all of you, me, and the country where they are living in. The contract basically says, I give away my right to violence and to do whatever I please, and you're going to protect me. That's part of the contract. It's a very important contract, but it's unwritten. If people have an increasing sense of insecurity, this contract is endangered and the mix can become explosive at some stage. Certs, yeah, conflicts of interest I already mentioned will happen and will happen more. And we need to be very aware of that and very cautious in handling it and try to stay out of politics as much as we can. It's not completely possible. But the third world will only work if we stay out of the direct politics as much as possible. So we can help. Global politics, well, you all know about this. It's so obvious. Balances of power changing. USA's role is changing. Russia is still hurt, pride-wise. Europe is stumbling along. I can safely say that because I'm a big fan of where I live. But right, Olivier, we do stumble along, don't we? China, India, other economies are on the rise, but countries with huge populations, potential volcanoes. Africa, Latin America demand the place they need to have on the world scene. And we have religious conflict, which many years ago we thought was going down. We have it back all over the world with a vengeance. So we're tools, but we all actually have influence. The law is getting more and more into the game as well. Interpol, as I said in trans, it would be great to have something like nautical law for the internet. However, I can't define territorial zones in the internet. That's the big problem. But right now it's completely messy because an international hacking incident involves so many legislations that it's almost impossible to solve. It's absolutely horrible to solve it for the law enforcement people involved. We really need something like internet law. And I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give you the solution. But I don't believe in unsolvable challenges, so it's something we need to think about. Ethics. Okay, I'll keep this one short. Just bear in mind, what is ethics? What are you going to tell your 7-year-old daughter about the work you do? If you can explain to your 7-year-old daughter, I actually have 3 daughters, they're a little bit older. If you can explain to your 7-year-old daughter about the work you do and look her straight into the eye, then you're probably doing ethical things. You can go into very big complications with ethics, but for me this is extremely important. And I hope to be working with lots of people like you in a way which supports humans having rights and having a good place to live on this planet. For certs, we have the challenges. We have the challenges of what happened in the Middle East, Russia, WikiLeaks, Snowden. Oh yeah, there's a nice quote there, which comes from the Nuremberg trials. It's not about trials, but the quote is nice. The fact that the person acted pursuing the order of his government or of a superior does not relieve him from responsibility under international law, provided a moral choice was in fact possible to him. So if your boss tells you to do something wrong, maybe you shouldn't do it. So, last few slides. Is it all bleak? Is it all going down? I don't believe that. I'm a born optimist, actually. I'm a mountaineer. So when I go mountain climbing with some friends, and we rope up, and we all rely on one another to get to the top. And if one of us messes up, that could be the end of the story, but we always get to the top safely. And that's by working together. Then Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail 1,000 times, I just discovered 1,000 things that don't work. And Churchill said, success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm. I'll skip this one. So, by the way, if Jean-Robert allows, we can get these slides to you, right? So, if I skip something, you can always see it later. What's at stake? How do you want your kids to be treated by society? That's the important question. Human dignity, human rights. Can you read what you want, write what you want, and talk to whom you want without fear? Actually, that's sort of a free translation of something I really like, which is the 5 basic freedoms of the First Amendment of the US Constitution, which is freedom of press, freedom of petition, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to assemble peacefully. And these are often under threat, maybe even sometimes in the country where they were written. So, are we humans or expendable resources? Two quotes there. Heinrich Heine, a German guy, who said before the Second World War, they who burn books will also burn people. Another one to think about is Mr. Gandhi from India. It is, you may think it's completely unrelated, and maybe it is and maybe it isn't. Just think about it. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. So, game over? No way. The game has just begun for the CERT community. We need to step outside our cocoons. We can't stay in our safe security world. We need to balance responsibility between our company or institution, constituency, individual, including individual, and ethical. How do you want to be treated? How do you want your kids to be treated? The challenges of cooperation, national law enforcement worldwide, and we need to do much more in maturity and exchange of data, measuring of data. Education is really important in training, professional conduct and ethics, and like I said, compliance and certification. So where does that leave us? You can only look through colored glasses like I can. But we can gain understanding and respect, which is really important. And again, how would you like to be treated and your kids to be treated? Treat all life as a purpose in itself is actually something which comes from Immanuel Kant. And yeah, we remember the 3 levels of power. If you want to understand the world, you need to think outside the box. So thank you very much, and I do think together with Catherine Fulton, who said that in the United States, this is a moment in history when the average person has more power than at any time. So use that power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. So the next speaker is Olivier Calef for CERT-FR. So Olivier is the liaison officer of CERT-FR, the French government CERT. He joined 1.5 years ago, but has been a manager of a private CERT for 6 years before that, and in the security field for almost 20 years. Apart from being a Transit 1 trainer, so Olivier also trained the transit session here this week. He is dealing with information sharing with partners such as French CERT, as well as foreign CERT. So Olivier's presentation will be on information sharing for cyber defense actors. Olivier, the chair is yours.
Thank you, Jean-Robert. And I'd like to bounce on what Don just said. He's been insisting quite a few times on the word sharing and cooperation. And that's the point of my presentation too. And I think both all of you that attended this conference and the training sessions on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even with Sparky yesterday, I think you must all be convinced by now that sharing is the utmost important communication. So I'll talk about 2 different things. The first one is, where are we starting from regarding sharing? But first of all, who is supposed to be sharing? That's you and me. That's you as trusted partners. We've been meeting together. We know each other, so it's an additional level of trust we may have. We'll talk about technical issues a little bit later. But I may also have an opportunity to talk with you as representatives. I'm working in a GovCert. Some of you are working in GovCert or are willing to set up GovCerts. You are also representing your country. You are also the entry point of your country regarding security incidents. So how is it today? Well, today it's a lot of many things. It's a huge amount of data that you may be willing to share because you've got a lot of things, a lot of incidents, a lot of events. You have a lot of things you may be willing to share. The problem is that there's a huge variety of types of data, and there's no formal way to, there's no given model for that. There's many different formats of data. There's no common language, no standard language to define what a security threat is. And if there's no common language, this may leave the door open to interpretation. And we are not in a world where we have to interpret facts. We have to get facts, we have to share facts, and that would be able to help one another. And the final thing is that there's no really an easy way to share in an automatic manner, unfortunately. So a lot of little issues. When we try to do so, however, we send emails, structured emails. I don't know if some of you write proper emails with a nice structure. I don't often. It's most of the time unstructured information. Sometimes it's just an email saying, here is the file, here is the document with all the information regarding the incident. Okay, that's a document, that's file, that's a PDF, that's Word, that's Excel spreadsheet, that's file text. Nothing really formalized. Some certs have been setting some web forms on their web servers representing their organization, which is a way to try to format the input they'll get. So they can use post-processors, but if the sender could use some pre-processors to try to format the information so that the receiver would have an easier task, this would be much better. And last but not least, acknowledgements. Sometimes you send information, you send a notification, and there's no acknowledgement at all. But we are human beings, and when you speak out to someone and you don't get any answer, well, what do? You always expect to get a human response. So that's one thing which hasn't been formalized yet, and this is food for thought too. However, you've got some positive items. The first one is we've got some sharing rules. Don has been talking about TFC cert first and other organizations. We have something which is called the traffic light protocol. It's a protocol which is used regarding the way we should share. Should we share just between two different persons and not tell to any others, or is it just open information? So we've got a 4 colors code, red, amber, green, and white. I'm telling so the colors because some of you may be colorblind, as I am, so just explaining the colors. And apart from that, we also have some tools to ensure confidentiality, and that's PGP. PGP is a way for us to enhance trust. At the end of the third day of the second day of the training session, when Don arrived, we've been doing a nice key signing party, sharing keys, enhancing trust. That's a very important issue. It helps us enforce confidentiality when we share information about incidents, because sharing incident information may, if it goes to the wrong eyes or the wrong ears, it may be reused by other bad guys. So first, confidentiality, and the other issue and the other positive item regarding PGP, that it can also help you authenticate what you send. If you sign your information or the incident-related information you send to another partner, this is a way for you, if you sign it, to provide the proof that you are the right entity sending information. So you also, once again, provide a little bit more trust. And also the points of contacts. You may have regional organization that may be an entry point in your region, in your country, in your continent. But you may also have some more technical items, such as the RFC 2350 I've been mentioning during the training session, which is a kind of ID of your organization. So you say what you do, who you are, and it's also good for the others, those who may have an interest into sharing with you. They may know exactly what you do, who you are, what you are interested in. So telling who you are is also a way to get more appropriate information sent by others. Now let's open to another point of view, which is what can we use and what are the tools? Tools are just tools, but however, it helps, and it may help us formalize everything. So we may have some classification models of information. I'll mention one or two of them. We may have some formats regarding the indicators, the information, the events. some threat formats regarding the various type of threat, how we can try to put them into a model, and the way we can share information. So I'll very briefly go through some of them. You're going to have the slides, so it's just an introduction. But the first one I wanted to mention was STIX, which has been, I would say, designed something like 3 years ago, and which is becoming to pop up. It's a framework, a data model, which is used to standardize the way we can represent cyber threat intelligence, instead of just sending information without any structure. So it's an enabling structure with semantics, with interpretation, but always the same type of interpretation, so no misinterpretation, and of course some level of analysis. The issue we are trying to solve is like trying to answer to quite a few questions. We are seeing a few activities, bad activities. What is it? What are the threats you are looking for? What are the threats that you see? Have they already been seen somewhere? Important point. If others have seen the same threat, if they issue you a warning, you'll be prepared to receive an attack, for example. Regarding the details, what does it do in terms of attacks? What are the weaknesses that are exploited? How can I protect, once again, myself? Who is responsible for doing the attacks? And what can I do about it? So, regarding the way we can address that with STIX, we define quite a few items. The incidents, so that's the description of the threat. Indicators, observables, some campaigns, which mean the attacks which are launched. The way we can mitigate these attacks, which is named in that model the course of action. The targets, the actors, the threat actors, and another acronym which is well known nowadays, which is TTP, tactics, techniques, and procedures. I mean the way the attackers are operating in order to launch the attack. So if I put everything in a global picture, that's, I would say, the STIX model, you can take that model from wherever you want. I've been adding the little questions I've been mentioning prior to this slide. So you can find the incidents, you can find the threat actors, the relationship with the campaigns, the tool that I use with the TTPs, and that's a nice model, and thanks to that model, we should be able to improve the way we can share information. So that's one example. I've been writing the URL of the STIX model on the mitre.org website. In a few words, what is it? It's, in the end, an embedded data marking model, which is reusing existing models such as the TLP. So that's good. We are not putting everything we've been using prior to that to the trash. We are reusing existing well-working components. But there are some issues. For example, you cannot send an update to your knowledge. You have to send the full package again. Anyway, that's maybe bad, but at least we can share information. So STIX represents, in the end, the existing knowledge of the sender at one point in time. Complementary to that, we've got TAXI. We've been defining the model of the data. We are now talking about the sharing protocol. So like a yellow and black cab, it's a way to transport information from one partner to the other. And it can be done automatically. It can be done between human beings, it can be done between applications, between incident handling components. It's independent from the components. And if I draw the global picture, you've got TAXI as a transport layer, and you've got STIX references, models in each organization that may be connected or that may send information or get information from STIX. You may have human beings, you may have IDS, you may have intrusion detection at the system level, you may have people working on vulnerabilities, you may have people working on all types of incidents. So that's the global picture, which looks quite nice, which is being developed. Another point of view is to be very pragmatic. And if those of you remember in 2001 when Mandiant, a US company, issued the APT1 report, which was quite famous, at the same time they delivered various indicators. And they used a type of format, which was the open IOC. So that format is very useful. It helps us define and put in boxes all types of security-related information. So that's good. But it's purely technical. It's technical information. And when you work on incidents, having technical information is one thing, but knowing the context is also very important. So it only does part of the job. There are other solutions, such as MISP, which is basically the acronym stands for Malware Information Sharing Platform. It has been designed by the Belgium GovCert and the NATO in the NATO CERT. It's a kind of repository at first. It was a kind of repository for various types of malware, and it has been extended to handle events. Events can be malicious code, but it can be any type of something happening, an incident. An example of taken from this circle, which is a search in Luxembourg, where they show how you can input information into a MISP platform and how you can output information from a MISP platform, both to human beings and to application or incident handling tools. Another one is the CIF, the Collective Intelligence Framework, which is aimed at centralizing information related. Here, the idea is to collect information, collect events, collect all types of news, even though this may not be of interest at first, but globally, when you try to correlate everything, it's very interesting. And it's a way for you to go a little bit forward. So technically speaking, I can resume that saying that it's a big SQL repository where you pour in all types of format, and you've got preprocessors and postprocessors that would be that are able to put all the data into that collector, and then you can launch some requests. So this is the global picture with public or private feeds, with mitigation equipments such as firewall ideas that can pour information within the CIF solver. So you get a global picture with correlation. Last one, which is quite new and which looks quite promising because it's a kind of framework which is willing to aggregate and capitalize on what is already existing regarding sticks and taxi, regarding Cybox and MISP. It's named CRISTS, Collaborative Research into Threats. So that's one of the interesting developments and that you should have a look at, especially if you are willing to set up a new incident handling and threat sharing environment. As a conclusion for this first part, I would say that sharing is based on trust between actors. Once again, sharing trust. The tools I've been mentioning are just an idea, it's just a support to all the information sharing you have to do and you must do. And there are quite a few trends which have been emerging recently, and the only idea behind most of them is to increase the automation level between all the stakeholders regarding the incident information sharing process. So that's a way for you also, if you are developing your CERT or if you are creating one, to start with the right tools or the right ideas in mind, define properly what you want to do, how to do it. And also it's an opportunity for me to say that liaising with existing organizations is very important. You've got Africa CERT, you've got TFC CERT, you've got FIRST. It's also a great place to share information and to meet in person and also to extend your trust network, your web of trust. So that was one point I wanted to mention at first regarding the information sharing. If I've got 10 minutes, 5? Okay. And the second point I wanted to mention, because once again I want to go over what Don has been talking. He's been talking about cyber resilience, saying that resilience was a kind of a buzzword. Well, it's true, it's a kind of a buzzword. However, there's something that's the reality behind that. And it's good to be sharing information, incidents or threats with others. But look at your own home. How is it secured? Is it reliable? And that's one of the issues we've been trying to address in France. And we created 3 or 4 years ago what's named the French Internet Resilience Observatory. So I think we used the word resilience before it was a buzzword. Good. So the context was we thought that we had the feeling that the Internet was misunderstood. Well, Internet is one big thing you can share and blah, blah, blah. Network incidents And when we work on incidents and security incidents, and that's our daily job, it's not localized in France. Of course, the internet is wide open, so we have to share, and we have also to understand what are the best practices in terms of internet usage. So some of the objectives of the creation of that observatory was to try to assess what were the risks regarding the French part of the internet. The questions may be, what is a French internet? Some of you speaking French may know that we've got an exception culturelle in France. So we speak French, and there's a lot of people around the world speaking French. We've got a French culture and the rest, but others also have to. So the real question is, what makes a French internet? Before answering this question, let's define what we call internet resilience. Resilience is the ability to respond to a major crisis and to quickly restore normal service. That's what's written in one of our white book that was published in 2008 in France. So the aim of this observatory was to study that resilience from a technical point of view. We had two options. The first one was to work on services, get a user point of view, such as HTTP, mail, and the rest. The other way to go was to take a look at the internet structure, like routing, naming services, and that kind of routing protocol. We decided to focus on this second possibility, so looking at the internet structure through BGP and DNS. So how to observe that? We chose some indicators for DNS and for BGP, and for each and every indicator we have a description, a methodology to make the measurements, the limitations, and of course a little analysis that you can find in the reports. So now let's try to answer to the question, what is the French internet? So we had an existing database of AS, autonomous systems, that were covered in France, and we had a database of 40,000. It turned out that after making some analysis, we downgrade that number to only something like 1,400 that were related really to France and not shared. And adding and comparing with other databases, we were able to go to almost 1,500. So that's the number of ASs. So the questions that we wanted to answer were, are French ASs, autonomous systems, well connected to one another? And that's a question you should ask also for your country. Are there any single point of failure? And if one breaks, everything breaks down, falls down? So the same question for almost any country. And another tricky question is, how many ASs are so important that if they fail, we no longer have the internet, or at least have a very big impact on the internet in France. So trying to assess what is the level of risks. We also had other issues, such as issues related to BGP, related to the way we can assess whether or not a BGP announcement is correct or not. So it may be a valid announcement, okay? It may be connected, so it means that you've got a link with someone else. And it may be an abnormal, which is neither the first case nor the second one. In that case, if it's abnormal, well, you have to have a look at it and try to understand whether it's a human error, an issue, a security incident, or whatever. And we did also some analysis regarding the implementation of DNSSEC and IPv6 to see how it was related and what was the penetration of all that. So you can get all the information regarding that Internet Resilience Observatory in various reports that we publish every year. Some are in French, some are in English. And out of the second report, we've been designing some recommendations and best practices regarding the way countries should be handling the BGP, because BGP is key for the internet. I think if you have been attending this conference and you'll stay here a few more days, you'll be convinced that BGP is key, and that I would say they may not be all the necessary security measures that have been implemented at first in BGP. So BGP plus DNSSEC plus other components may be useful, but roughly speaking, I would say that BGP and the internet resilience are closely related. So food for thought. Try to see what is the impact of that BGP and what is the impact and what is the resilience level of your internet in your country, then maybe in your region. And I think that's a good step to go forward. So thank you for your attention, and I'll leave the floor to Jean-Robert.
Thank you, Olivier. So the next presenter is Serge Valéry Zongo from ITU. So Serge Valéry Zongo is Program Officer at ITU, UN Lead Agency for Information and Communication Technology and Cybersecurity Focal Point for Africa region. He worked the last decade in information technology and management field at Intelsat, Teleglobe, and Sonatel, where he was in charge of planning and architecture of transport and IP network. He currently facilitates the work of ITU in Africa region in the development of strategy for cybersecurity and programs, initiative implementation for the benefit of the member state of the ITU, including providing assistance in establishing capabilities such as national search, cybersecurity, and strengthening coordination and cooperation within the United Nations system. So, Serge, the floor is yours.
Bonjour. I want to make my presentation in French, but the slides are in English, so I think that you won't miss the information. Donc, je vais commencer par remercier.
I would like to start thanking AFRINIC and Africa Third for having this platform here today for the conference. We must encourage them, as the first two speakers just said, to fight cybercrime and to tackle the security issue. We must encourage all that concerns discussions and sharing of information. I will do a brief presentation all concerning cybersecurity and cybercrime in Africa. We'll talk about that and then introduce to you to a partnership and introduction for all concerning the African cyberspace. We will start rapidly by and give you some figures. After that, I will rapidly remind you the mandate of the ITU concerning cybersecurity and introduce to you what we have as partnerships to fight this issue. And then I'll end by presenting you the big world global initiatives concerning cybersecurity. When we're talking about cybersecurity, I think the figures that you can see here says everything. We have, anyway, at Symantec has estimated as 378 million victims per year, which means there's about 12 victims per second, which is huge. We note that the study done estimates that the different vulnerabilities or weaknesses concerning the passwords. Today, the identification of passwords is very weak, following the bad use. There are a lot of vulnerability that can be exploited. Studies made by Big Defender estimates that more than 25,000 users that are easily found on the net. Everything concerning passwords. What we note is that 75% of those passwords that we can easily find on internet are those that you can find again on Twitter. So if you make a link, you can find informations on the different persons. So once more, after Symantec, we note that there has been raise of websites 62% in 2013, which is about 552 million people. Another problem that comes regularly is the weaknesses of websites that are hosted around worldwide. I think that in the coming days we'll talk about this. You can note that the websites are very badly managed. The security is so weak that concerning those websites. And we note that the vulnerability of the sites is about 64% or 74%. So often, most of the sites have not considered their security system seriously. I will end concerning figures from world tendencies. We note that there is an emergence of connections and people connected. Today, in each house, we have at least 5 or 6 tools that are connected. And this brings us to think that in the future, anyway, the business model will change. And we think that the economic model, that there will be 2.7 to 6 billion dollars in 2025. This will be a huge market and a huge economical impact. We also note, as I said before, the connection from tool to tool will change the type of model, and it is important for us, experts in on this issue, is to introduce this in the cyber security in our mentalities. The fourth technology, the new technology, will bring a revolution to our world. We estimate that the financial impact will be of 1.7 to 2.2 American billion US dollars in 2025. It's a new market. It's a new way to use ITC to then improve cyber security. Concerning connections of different objects with the internet, we think there are 50 billion that be used in 2020, and today it is very important to rethink the infrastructure that will need to manage this communication tool and see that the standards that we impose to those infrastructures, that they could be worn and respect some criteria concerning cybersecurity. If not, the equipment that are connected will be always be hacked and under the threat of cybercrime. And this will bring, of course, huge problems. After having presented the figures of world tendencies, I will now come back on the mandate of ITU. The World Summit on Information that was held in 2003 and 2005 in Geneva in Tunisia. During the 2005 summit, we demanded at the ITU to all concerning cybersecurity, so that we can build a securized cyberspace. The Secretary General announced in 2007 the World Programme for Cybersecurity, which in English is GCA. This World Programme would be the collaboration between different actors and stakeholders, so that we can put at their disposal the expertise and support for all members of the ITU, which has 193 members. The 5 pillars of this program are legal measures, where ITU signed a contract with UNODC, which is the department in charge of crime and drugs, and we aim to implement, to put in, to set all regulations and laws in a country so that they could fight for cyber crime. And European Union the rules and regulation for the collective. The second pillar for concerning this agenda for the world cybersecurity. We must implement, set up all the procedures and techniques. Okay. Concerning the ITU has different standards, and third pillar is what all is concerning the organization. The structure of this organization has been set up so that we can work today with Impact and other partners, so that we can have different centers, and we work also with Symantec and other experts of cybersecurity, and have a platform to exchange our experience across all the member countries. Concerning the 2 other pillars, concerning capacity building and also international cooperation.
Donc pour le programme de CERT, à date, nous avons en fait travaillé sur plusieurs pays dans le monde.
In fact, we have worked with several countries in the world.
Cybersécurité pour les pays, nous avons fait 56 dans le monde. Et nous avons implémenté 8 CERT, il y a 6 qui sont en cours d'implémentation.
There are 6 centers are being set up. Well, as soon as you have more and more centers, concerning for motivation of different centers and encourage collaboration between different experts. This is what we have now had 9 meetings up till now worldwide. Concerning Africa, and I think we have done an evaluation in 24 African countries, and what we've done by Africa CERT, and we then we study the laws of the country concerning cybersecurity, the level of competencies, and see how the CERT must be organized, and what is the level of competencies and decision. And concerning the different services and concerning different evaluation and the roadmap. So we have 7 centers in Africa, which is one that is still being set up in Burundi, one that will be ready in January 2015. And there's another one in Zambia that has just been finished in September 2014, where 14 countries were present. And of course, the Africa CERT team was also there, where we made simulations of different threats, and then we come over with some recommendations and collaboration between different CERTs. One important initiative at the level ITU concerning cybersecurity. Now we have a partnership with IBR Research, and this aims at evaluating the needs of different countries concerning cybersecurity. And we shared with the different countries to answer the needs. We have ended the first part, and now we'll publish the results for the African continent in beginning of next year. So for Africa, the improvement of security in less advanced countries. Up till now, we have invested $500,000 US for those countries, uniquely on the evaluation of the laws and all the procedures that exist in the country, and also to help to bring recommendations concerning the regulations and the technology. In Africa, we have 8 countries. Whereas in the worldwide master concerning less advanced countries, there are 49, and amongst them there are 34 countries on 49 that are concerned as worldwide less developed countries. And us must fund all these projects. I was saying before the beginning of my presentation, it's very important to find partnerships. If I remind you the different major partners for the cybersecurity. So we were working this year, in the beginning of the year, with Interpol. After the MOU that you've been working in this framework, we have organized seminars, regional seminars on cybercrime. with MPAC and Interpol. I mentioned so that we have a partnership with UNODC, so this to her is will help countries concerning rules and regulations at the national level. In 2011, we signed an MOU with Symantec, and 2004 with Micro, that will be used to disseminate information in the member countries so that all the countries could be at the same level of information, so that they could prevent all the protect themselves against all those strikes. I was talking about search, which is with which we work for the global security. We must estimate the needs concerning cybersecurity. We will try to help countries where we have already established a CERT, so that these more countries will be members of CERT. They're all quite mature already, and we accompany them so that they can be members of CERT. We work with regional centers. And we're working with Nigeria today to establish a national regional cybersecurity. And now we're working for a regional center, third regional center in Zambia. After I presented what we have done concerning cybersecurity, I'm sure there will be a place for everyone concerning cybersecurity at the political level and needs. It is now time to find a way to try together. Here we present a few lines that are not exhaustive, of course, and see what is the global security. So there are some countries have not answered yet, so it is good to work on this questionnaire. The partners with concerning the cyber security of a country. It is a priority today for Africa, so that we are all on the same level, so that cybersecurity is the same a bit everywhere. We still have something to do. We also must seek of cooperation concerning online communication and see how can we set up frameworks to work. We also have in 1 week in Uganda, there's an African seminar. See how we can, the state of and level of African countries, and how can we improve the staff population. There are also studies that have been done. Of course, we have said and to work on different centers and work on different questions. It's now time to help us work with us. The last point is this. We have worked with the big certs in Africa. Okay, very open. And we must try to see how we can work out and see how the level maturity level. All that I've presented are on the IET site, and you will see the link that you can see on the screen, and you can consult at any time so that we can work together. Thank you for your attention.
Merci beaucoup, Serge.
Thank you, Serge.
Today, no, for the morning. It's Sparky. So we know you as Sparky, right? Koichiro Kobiyama, JP Director, and also First Director. So thank you for being among us. Sparky will give us episode, which is the Asia Pacific Computer Emergency Response Team update. So Sparky, the floor is yours.
Thank you, John Robel. Again, my name is Sparky from JPSED, and now since this June, I became the board member of First, so I represent two organizations here. And then, well, it's always my honor and pleasure to be part of this community, to participate in the AFRINIC event. It was back in 2009, I attended the first AFRINIC meeting, AFRINIC 13. We start from a very small room. Only few of us are there. Among the bigger community like AFRINIC, I think the star players are IPv6, DNSSEC, and security was really minor topics at the time. And well, now we are part of plenary right after the minister's speech. So I really have mixed feeling on that. Well, security is becoming a very important issue. That's good. And Africa said, and many of you have worked for it very much. So that's good. Very good side of this story. And the other side is, for example, Gabon government have been attacked by Anonymous in the last few months. And it was last week, AFRINIC website was compromised, defaced by some hackers. On the AFRINIC top page, I see insulting image files, and few lines after that, security is an illusion. So they might be right. And then it was yesterday, one of Ghana government agency website was hacked and again compromised. So we achieved a lot, but still we have many things to do to prevent those things happen. And I have very limited time, and my key message today is, okay, I skipped all these slides. I have only one message for you today. Africa needs both regional and national effort simultaneously or alongside. So that should be parallel effort. And with this slide, I'd like to briefly touch upon APSAT activity and prove that my hypothesis is legit. So in Asia, we have national CSAT in various countries, including China, Japan, Australia, India, and, well, I could say almost all countries, they now have national CSAT. And some of the national CSATs, including Japan, Singapore, Australia, once realized that we need to have regional collaboration mechanism among Asia. This is because, for example, Config1, NIMDA, all those security threats affect the whole internet. However, there are several regional threats as well. For example, the vulnerability to Asian language processor and so on. So definitely we saw the value setting up the regional information sharing mechanism. So that's why we started to recruit many other Asian countries to be part of APSAT. And APSAT right now is, as shown in this table, APCERT focus is regional coordination and information sharing. We do have annual cybersecurity exercise, and also we do a joint situational awareness, which means once in a year we ask all the member states how good, how bad their security situation is, and then we issue APCERT annual report for awareness purpose. That's the key focus of regional effort like APCERT. In the other hand, national CSIRT in Asia, their key focus is protecting their customers, constituents, their national government, and so on. And they have, well, more stable funding, more rich human resources, so they could go into the very technical, advanced analysis. So the key focus, I'd like to repeat, the key focus is different. And then how we respond to an incident is also different. So for regional forum like APCERT, incident response is really for country or economy where there's no CSIRT. We still have countries like Nepal, a few others in Asia. For those countries, since there's no national point of contact or, well, people who can talk to the security community out of their country, so APCERT can work for them, but for the security incident, for example, to India, that should be done. That should be managed by Indian CERT. So with that, we have very clear demarcation or clear line of separation of duty there. And then leadership, APCERT we have been doing this for 10 years already. So we have very clear, very written, documented procedures. And then once in a year, we have an election. Any member who want to stand up can stand up, and the result of the election, 10 steering committee members, and among those 10 steering committee members, one chair will be decided. So it's crystal clear process. Everyone have one vote. It's really the chair will be determined by their vision or what they've done in the past. And national CSIRT, its leadership is really different country to country, region to region. So, and the last one, funding. You might be surprised, but APCERT doesn't have any bank account. Means we do not collect money. Actually, we are very simple organization. We may ask software vendor, hardware vendor like Microsoft to support the trip. For example, people from, developing area wants to participate in our APCERT conference. We ask vendors to cover that travel cost, but that's all. And for national CSIRT, they need much money. And in most cases, national government pays it, and other cases, domain name registry, CCTLD registry, or university or industry association will cover the operational cost of CSIRT. And from national effort to regional effort, national effort like JPCERT or Korea CERT can contribute APCERT by providing the human resources or by providing the security threat information. And APCERT can contribute each national CSAT, like JP said, Korea said, by providing the, well, opportunity of collaboration or forum of information exchange. So, well, I've had few, well, comments, opinions, suggestions from people from various countries saying, well, they have something with current Africa said. And always I respond them, you know, you should be part of, or you are the part of Africa said, and why don't we come to this meeting and speak up and see if, you know, who can fix that problem. Really, my goal or my dream is better cyberspace in Africa. And with that purpose, well, I don't mind if Africa had gone in next few weeks. At least who can take cover, who can play the same role as Africa said taking right now. So, well, really for people who have national CSAT already, please come to this meeting and talk to, you know, current Africa CSAT members, including John Robert, Jack, Marcus, and I really ask you, you know, not only asking Africa to do something for your country, it might be for you to do something for Africa said. Well, again, AP said, after 10 years, all members found regional cooperation went really well, and we do need organization like AP said. So you'll be, yeah. So I think Africa said is very, how do I say? The future of Africa said is very bright if you can help them. And if not, I don't know. Still, we'll be, well, I will be here. But anyways, with that, I really ask your collaboration with Africa said, and I really ask Africa said to work closely with each regional or national effort. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sparky. So I have a dilemma. We have 1 hour for the lunch, and we have questions. So can we, I will let you decide, can we go to the lunch, come back, take maybe 2-3 questions, and move on the afternoon program? So the afternoon program, we have Gianpiero Nani from Symantec, who will give a presentation on towards a robust and uncompromised security posture, the policy for the cybersecurity journey. Then Narayan, many of you know him here. He is the law enforcement coordinator for Africa CERT. Will give a presentation on identifying area of collaboration between CERT and law enforcement agency. Then Foy from APWG will give a presentation on building a unified response to cybercrime. Then Kalim from Mauritius CERT will give a presentation on building a national cybersecurity strategy. So what do you prefer? Do we go to lunch now for 45 minutes and come back? Okay, deal. Thank you. Please join me to thank the speaker of this morning.